For whatever reason, people keep asking me about Soaproot. They keep asking me if it's edible, can you shower with it, what's the deal with Soaproot? So I'm gonna do a couple little Soaproot experiments today. Soaproot's a bulb, so it comes up in the spring, and the leaves are kind of wavy. And supposedly you can eat the leaves as greens. Supposedly the Indians would steam them, but you can also eat them raw. And slightly fibrous, a little sweet. There is sort of like an emulsifying something to there, that very subtle soapiness. The main thing about Soaproot in my experience, my limited experience, is not to confuse it with death camas. As the name implies, death camas are gnarly. The first time I tried to eat some Soaproot greens, it was right when they were popping up, and I took some nibbles off of what I thought was Soaproot, and it was incredibly heinously bitter, and so I spitted it out, and for 3 or 4 hours I couldn't get this horrible taste out of my mouth. Just absolutely wretchedly just sour, bitter disgustingness. Anything I ate just tasted like that. Anything I drank just tasted like that. It was horrible. So, do not eat a death cama. They can kill you. Another thing about death camas is they like to grow where Soaproot grows. I find this book to be pretty much indispensable on Zap, and in the apocalypse there's going to be a lot more wild foraging foods than there are foods growing in your garden. And they're just growing, you don't have to take care of them, they don't need watering and fertilizing, etc., etc. We're going to look at death camas now. So there you can see, there's your death cama. Unfortunately, death camas also look a lot like wild onions. So when you're looking for wild onions, be careful of getting death camas instead. The identifying characteristic about death camas is these V-shaped leaves coming out. So here's our Soaproot, right? Notice the wavy leaves. If you actually get down to the bulbs, you can see this. They're like hairy, they've got this fibrous hair. The Indians made Soaproot brushes out of this, which was pretty much an indispensable tool for all kinds of stuff, including making their acorn mash. There you are, here's our Soaproot. As you can see, this is a fibrous bulb, and this is actually 2 bulbs. So there you go. We are on our way to making dinner. I really couldn't find very much information on eating Soaproot. Some people say it's poisonous. Some people say it's tastes like a fruit preserve. I don't even know what a fruit preserve tastes like. Some sources said that they just eat the greens and the flowers. Other people have told me that the bulbs are roasted and eaten. I am a bit leery because the Indians would grind up a bunch of Soaproot, dump it in a creek, and the fish would pass out and come to the surface, and then they would gather them up. So I imagine if it can do that, it's somewhat poisonous. But then again, so are buckeyes and acorns. Seems like most of the food those poor guys were eating was poisonous if improperly prepared. There we go, Soaproot greens. Not too tasty when they're raw. Are they gonna be any better when they're cooked? Wow, that's crazy. I really do get like a big hit of like pumpkin squash, like right up front. It starts out really sweet and delicious, and then it kind of goes to that funky aftertaste. It's still got a really fibrous texture. I do think I'm gonna have to finish this serving of Soaproot greens just out of principle. Whether I'm gonna cook the rest of the ones I gathered today, probably unlikely.
Depend on someone else to do those things.
The Indians would bake these in an earth oven where they buried hot rocks underground, but I'm going to use the Dutch oven. It seems to have baked fairly well, kind of peeling like an onion or like an artichoke. I'm not looking forward to eating this. Well, the outside seems to be too fibrous to palate. Okay, I've now reached some sort of inner zone that looks more soft. It's really hot. I can't decide if I like this or not. I think I like it though. Tastes like something. It tastes like asparagus. This is just a little crunchy, but it's also got that, you know, that stringy texture to it. Barring like dying of food poisoning in my sleep tonight, I'd say that turned into surprisingly edible, kind of sweet, asparagus-like, hairy food. The Soaproot didn't poison me, so I guess it's Soaproot for breakfast. So you can see the outer layers are really fibrous. So really, the best thing to do, I think, is just to get to the inner part and eat that. It's kind of like an artichoke like that. Unfortunately, I'm having difficulty swallowing this again. It's kind of like trying to swallow a big hairball. It's a wad of fiber. Pretty hard to swallow that. Soaproot, which obviously is named that for a reason, was used by the Indians to bathe with, which I imagine is where they discovered that fish would pass out from it. The solar shower is finally starting to get warm again on sunny days, so it appears that the solar shower basically doesn't work in the 3 darkest months of the year. And I've been planting olives all day, so you can see I'm kind of dirty. So we're gonna test the Soaproot.
I will share with you the lessons I've learned that changed the man I was. 2-step line, but with caution, because the road is rough. Mama used to say, boy, don't run away from your problem.
Well, I would say that is an absolute success. It totally lathered up and got super soapy, but not only that, the unexpected wonderfulness of Soaproot is that it's so fibrous, you've pretty much got a built-in loofah. It's like super, it's not abrasive or anything, it's just, how do they call that, exfoliating. Exfoliating root. That was awesome. Besides that, if you did it in a creek, you might get some dinner. The source for Soaproot did say that if you were gonna try and poison fish in a creek, to do it at the end of summer when the creeks are low. So maybe I'll try that later.